Good morning, hello, and welcome to another episode of Bookworthy. I am your host, Chris Reaney. Today is, I don't know, November something. It's Tuesday. Maybe it's 22nd, 21st, something like that. 2022. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you again. Thanks for joining me. We're just coming off of, you know what? Just say hi. Talk about life. How are you doing, everyone? Things are nice here in Denmark. I've got a guest in town. My old friend, Dr. Dave. He brought his lady friend with him, and they're actually in Copenhagen right now, but they'll be coming over here to Roskilde tonight for dinner. And it's nice. It's nice having a friend again. We were talking a little bit about, what life is like here in Denmark for my family and I, and how much we enjoy it, and how nice it is to have social services and a different culture that is very supportive of people. And they asked us, what do you miss? Especially, Dave knows me as a New Yorker. He moved in with me as a roommate, as a stranger when we were, I don't know, around 24 years old or so. And I was probably his introduction to New York City. He's been to my family's home, both the Italians and the Hondurans. He's been around all of them. Anyway, the funny thing is, I don't miss the city nearly as much as I miss my friends. I miss my family too, but I'm very deeply connected to them in a way that I never question whether I'll see them. They'll come here and I'll go there. But it's hard. It's hard staying in touch with your friends. When you have kids. Dude, buying a plane ticket for a kid, whew, that hurts. Anyway, it's the kind of thing you really learn when you're living it. That's the best way I can put it. But it's nice that they're here. I'm making a nice dinner tonight. I think last year we were getting the New York Times, and I was just started collecting recipes, and I made a little homemade cookbook for myself, and I have this nice roasted sausage and pineapple dish. I'll serve that with maybe a side of some green beans and brown rice. It's gonna be real good. I got a little hummus and chopped vegetables for starters, and a bottle of wine. It'll be really nice tonight. So, how are you? Yeah, everything decent? The light's gone here. You see the big blank whiteness. When my friend Dave got here on Sunday. The sun was out, and my wife and I were just like, "Whoa, we got to get outside and go do something." It was chilly, it was 30, 32 degrees, and his girlfriend made this comment, or his partner. I don't know what their status is. They live together, but she said something like, sometimes when the sun is out, it's even colder. And we were like, "What are you, fucking nuts? We haven't seen the sun in 2 weeks. We're going." We took them out to the lake near us, and they watched us get in the water like a bunch of crazy people, and they got a good laugh out of it. But we're doing our lake thing still. That's cool. Tomorrow, so Wednesday, we meet with our ice swimming club. That's gonna be dope. That's when we get to use the sauna at 6:30 in the morning. Let's see. Oh, one other thing. Do you do anything to get through the winter, to get through the dark? Do you change your behavior at all? We preemptively decided that we got to come up with some activities that are winter based, and obviously one of them is going to be the movie club. And we decided that we would do either genres or themes to kind of get through give it some structure. You don't want to just kind of pick blindly. And my wife likes period pieces. What is Merchant Ivory? She likes a lot of their movies. So I got a couple of those. And I was reading this fantastic Twitter thread. Maybe I'll post a link to it over on Patreon. for you, for those patrons. It's a fantastic Twitter thread by this movie writer, critic, goes by the handle at Scumbelievable. That's hot. That's tight. What are you going to do? And it's all really borderline disturbing films or kind of out there things. Some of them I had seen, some of them I'm aware of, some of them really, especially the foreign ones, I was not really all that up on. And some of them are fascinating, so I decided to start, collecting a couple of them and preparing for the winter, and maybe on the nights, so maybe she goes away, I'll watch some of the really intense ones that she couldn't handle on her own. But one of the things that came up was Barry Lyndon, which is a 19th century period piece by Stanley Kubrick. And it's a little bit about a grifter, so it kind of scratches itches for the both of us. And Gosford Park, which is another, she references it as the blackest of comedies, and there is a hint of it, but Jesus Christ. We just watched it this weekend over the course of two nights, and it was heartbreaking. There's an element of British society, the repression side, that just, I was not built for that. I very rarely feel that my culture comes through in who I am, because I feel like a black sheep in both sides of my family. But the act of getting out what you have, that's very inborn in me. Whether it's the Latino side or the Italian side, people are express themselves, and I tend to be like that as well. And Gosford Park was stunning. I feel like I would really, I won't say enjoy, but I benefit from watching it again, even though, good Lord, it is a brutal movie. Lot of great actors in it. The acting is stunning. Everyone is just a killer performance, ranging from like just dour and dire to like goofy and comedic. And it's very, if you've watched any Downton Abbey, you're going to be familiar with the layout of the the upstairs, downstairs, the constantly getting changed for different activities of the day, and the like structured luxury and aimlessness of the upper crust. But I can't recommend. I mean, I know Robert Altman is a master of filmmaking, and Gosford Park is one that I had read about many times. I have a big love of ensemble pieces, and this really hit every mark. There's a level of it though that is just truly heartbreaking. So strongly recommend, if you get deep feelings. All right, let's see. We just wrapped up. Let's get into the fights. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, Bookworthy is a series cataloging the creation of a book series called The Fine Art of Violence. The Fine Art of Violence is a collection of art and essays chronicling the year in mixed martial arts. It starts January 1st, ends December 31st. Most of the artwork is created by myself, Chris Rainey, and I hire other artists and essayists and writers to round out the bigger stories of the year. I would encourage you to visit chrisrainey.com to pick up a copy of any of the previous 3 volumes, whether digitally or physical copies. Also, I would encourage you to visit my Patreon page. The link is down below in the description, where you can sponsor my art studio and receive a copy of the book upon its completion. Tiers start as low as $1 a month, and range as high as $10 a month, where you can get anything from the digital book, the physical book, or the physical book and a custom piece of a print. It's going to be a laser engraved drawing on a piece of wood. All right, thank you for. Oh, and also, I make some silly T-shirts over at Cotton Bureau, based on the cartoon series MMA Squared that I illustrate and write for BloodyElbow.com. Thank you. Commercials are done. All right, Fight Night. Not Derek Lewis, not Sergey Spivak. What an absolute shit show that was. I do not watch fight nights anymore because I'm here in Europe, but Jesus H. That was a rough one. It was a rough one to even just follow on Twitter. And I will simply say that I really wanted to make a Combat Wombat joke involving his mother, Mombat, about that old thing that they used to say to you as a kid. When you make a face, like if you keep making that face, it's gonna stick that way. That when they said that Derek Lewis was pulled from the event for stomach troubles, I really wanted to come up with a gag where Mombat was telling Combat Wombat that, I told you that boy keeps making poop jokes. One day he's gonna really have one. Anyway, about that boy, having a poop on fight night. Anyway, so that was the cartoon that never came to be. That's all right. I saw a couple ridiculous poop jokes on Twitter, so I'm glad I didn't beat that dead horse. One really nice thing about the event was the continued rise of two really interesting prospects, Natalia Silva and Jack Della Maddalena. Della Maddalena, I think he's got 3 fights and 3 finishes in 2022, and he's got this stunning profile where his nose has been like kind of caved in, boxer style, and goes hand in hand with his boxing heavy fight style. So that's really cool. I think I'm going to put a portrait of De La Maddalena in the Fine Art of Violence. He hasn't, while he has had some excellent knockouts, the book is limited to 100 pages, and we got a lot of fighting to get in there. So I think a portrait of one of these of his face, which is truly, I would call it Romanesque in its profile. If you ever look up any Roman sculpture, it was like the Romans conquered the Greeks, right? And the Romans were notable for their success in conquering other cultures and allowing them to integrate into Roman society by basically being like, there's 2 ways I know about it. One is that like they were like, look, you don't have to worship our gods. Sometimes they'd be like, just change the name, but it's like as long as you paid tribute, you could keep a lot of your own culture. And the Romans were smart in that they took the best aspects of the cultures that they conquered and integrated into their own. And the Romans fell in love with Greek sculpture, which was probably one of the pinnacles of the artistic form at that time. But they added their own twist to it, whereas Greek sculpture often sought to portray perfection. That's the best way to put it. The ideal, whether it was beauty or what it is to be a man or a woman. These depictions were seeking a kind of idealism. And what the Romans took from the Greeks was their craftsmanship, their appreciation for the form, their mastery of the technique. But what the Romans added to it, and you can always tell the difference between a Greek portrait or a Greek sculpture and a Roman sculpture, because a Greek sculpture will be perfectly proportioned, beautiful, almost like slightly stylized to be more elegant or more arabesque, the line work of the curvature and the shape that they take. And the Roman sculpture will be like, that will look like a person you've seen. They will look like a person who has lived. There will be wrinkles. There will be, the famous boxer with the nose that's been broken dozens of times. There will be another level of humanity that looks like, while this is a sculpture, it is a sculpture of a person who has lived in the world, who has been through it. And if you look at a young fighter, and then you look at a fighter who, like a Frankie Edgar, pull up a picture of him that's 10 years old, 15 years old, and look at him now. You could almost say that like a picture of Frankie Edgar 15 years ago and a picture of Frankie Edgar today, that's the difference between, between Roman sculpture and Greek sculpture. Sorry for going off on a tangent on you. Anyway, I did a lot of Natalia Silva drawings. I'm sure some of them are playing right now. Let's see. Bellator and One had fights this week. I scrolled through the Corey Anderson fight. I was disappointed for the guy. I really love the narrative of fighters feeling like they're unappreciated by the UFC, going someplace thriving. Maybe Benson Henderson and Roy McDonald are kind of like, they're people who have been able to build on their own name, and if not, Rory won a title, but if not thrive and dominate, at least, they're active. But somebody like Ryan Bader, who just basically got to maximize everything about himself, I'm super happy for the guy. Even Tito Ortiz had like a glimmer of like, a resurgence, a really kind of like almost like a rewriting the narrative of who and what he was on a certain level. Got to exit somewhat gracefully. And then finally, Corey Anderson, he was really on a tear. I saw a fantastic tweet by this Twitter handler Squaley, and she made this really fantastic observation that two very recent fights, that being Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan 1 and Corey Anderson versus Vadim Nemkov 1, were ended prematurely through fouls, but each of those fights allowed the guy who was losing to have enough tape study to figure out a new game plan to put together a win in the rematch. I was like, my jaw dropped when I read that, and I can't believe there's no element of truth there. So props to Squaley for I don't want Twitter to die. I need these like nuggets of knowledge. I'm all about getting my perspective broadened, And then One FC, or One Championship, I should say, they had an event. I'm about to, actually, when I'm done with this, I'm going to sit down and watch the Christian Lee fight, which has been extremely well reviewed, and I have a suspicion that will end up in the Fine Art of Violence. Props to Usman Nurmagomedov for winning the Bellator Lightweight Championship. I saw Khabib with the "We're here to take over," shade toss over at after that fight. I could see that he and McGregor are just gonna go at it until the day they die. So be it, right? Right? That's it. That's just the way it's gonna be. They'll be there at the MMA old folks home. Just don't let those two sit together. Oh Lord. I see that we got no UFC, no Bellator coming up, but the PFL has their championship event. I think that one is pay-per-view. I'm really bummed out. We're not going to see Shane Burgos and Marlon Moraes. I wonder if Shane Burgos is one of those guys who is going to be able to craft a new career for himself, a new narrative now. He's a good guy. I always kind of root for people from New York and the New York area. He's from the Bronx. Not like the Charles Oliveira kind, like the Boogie Down Bronx. We'll see. We'll see if he's able to do that. I think the PFL does events regularly enough that he'll be able to find his opportunities. I hope they use him well. And let's see. One actually has a keep your eyes open on One Championship. They have this light heavyweight guy named Rainier de Ritter. He is 15-0. He's a big old light heavyweight. He's a submission specialist. And I just watched his fight earlier this year. Submitted this guy Big Dash via inverted triangle. Very cool. This is one of those light heavyweights that, just like Yuri Prochazka, was a champion someplace else. And then 2-3 years later, he is a UFC champion. So keep your eyes open. That's a very interesting thing that's coming up. I feel somewhat obligated to comment on the James Krause situation. And I will say only this. James Krause is hardly the problem. Once you integrate gambling into the mainstream presentation of your sport, and you simultaneously underpay people, and people feel like they got to take advantage of every opportunity, every angle available to them, this is the kind of stuff that happens. I mean, I don't know. I don't love gambling. I think that it's a more insidious part of life than most addictions, because it's because it is a psychological chemical addiction and we as people, as humanity, are not ready. We're not evolved enough yet to accept mental health problems as being as valid as things with physical manifestations. For example, you could be somebody severely criminally lacking in the ability to produce dopamine or serotonin, and it could affect your ability to function in the world. And there's a portion of the population that will treat you like garbage, and that as though it were your choice. And by comparison, if you're a person with a literal physical growth within your body in the form of cancer, it's like, that's it. That's it. You're fine. You're an okay person. Tragedy has befallen you, and we're gonna have fuck cancer shirts and whatnot like that made. And what I'm saying is that on a certain level, that 4chan meme, pics or it didn't happen, or Reddit meme, I don't know. That's how the world really is. A little bit of a dark place to end, but I just want you to know that, all these things are real. I'm real, you're real. So let's keep on keeping it real. This has been episode 9 of Bookworthy. Go down to the comment section, click on one of those links, do one of those things. Thank you so much for joining me.